News after President Trump made that big announcement to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal. And we already discussed how the world is reacting to that announcement, but we want to get a sense of how Americans feel about it.
Yeah, political divide. Let's bring in Richard Roth, founder of the Roth Group, and also Republican strategist Kenneth Del Vecchio. Richard, I want to start with you. Why not accept the argument that, at least for now, President Trump has won, because Iran is not going to enrich its uranium just yet. They're still part of this deal. They're still subject to inspections. And yet the president has been able to put Iran on notice that if you want economic benefits, you have to do something about the missiles and about the funding of terrorism.
Fair, but there's so many reasons. Reason number one is that the prime minister in Iran is on very shaky grounds, and he is a liberal. And now what Trump is doing is he's relative liberal for Iran.
You can call
not as liberal as I am.
And he's not the same
but he has just literally blown up his little base that he has, and all of the strong pro-Iranian, pro-militaristic people are clapping. They're thrilled that Trump has done this. So he's causing a great divide, and if you will, the hawks are winning that fight as a result of this. Number two is, what is Plan B? What is Donald Trump? Fine, he's out of the accord. Now what? Does he have a plan, or did he do this just because it was a campaign promise? And there's so many other reasons. My biggest problem is that he brings in H.R. McMaster, he brings in Tillerson, he brings in Mattis. Why? And why? Because he believed they were going to run his foreign policy. All three of those individuals believe that he should stay in the accord. What happens? He fires one, he fires two, he fires three. So the point is that you just don't know where you're getting with Donald Trump.
Well, let's take first the domestic Iranian political argument that a more progressive Iranian has been weakened by this.
I can't. This ripping up this deal it's a no-brainer. I mean, number one, we gave them $150 billion back in confiscated funds and then handed them $2 billion in cash, in euros and Swiss francs. Number two, the notification requirements with this deal are ludicrous. They make the deal a complete joke. They're out there manufacturing nuclear weaponry, and we got to give them like 7 or 10 days notice to come in. Wait, let me finish. Hold on. Israel also uncovered that 10 years ago, when they were supposed to not be creating nuclear warhead, that they were. And by giving them this deal, we completely rejuvenated their economy so that they could go in and start a war in Syria and start attacking Iraq. I mean, get rid of this deal. Trump is right on. You don't need an academic like Obama to cut a deal. You need a businessman like Trump. This was the right thing to do.
But Kenny, address Richard's point. What is the plan B here?
What plan B is that we're going to sanction the hell out of them. They're not going to have enough funds in order to be able to create nuclear weaponry to the finish line.
But the U.S. doesn't do so much business with Iran. The Europeans do a lot more business, and Europeans are staying in this deal. So, again, what is the plan B?
No, what we're doing is we're going to sanction all firms that do business with Iran, that buy their oil. What we did is we opened the floodgates to turn their economy into this lucrative, giant, beautiful thing for Iran. But for the rest of the world, especially our closest ally, Israel, it is a stinker bomb.
A lot of superlatives. Number one is Iran is not flourishing. It has not been that long. I mean, this program has not been in that long. So to say they're flourishing is one thing. Number two,
an entire war in Syria.
Number two.
It's not Russia. It's Iran.
Number two, and more importantly, we don't know.
Them, really.
We bombed Iraq because we believe there was ballistic warheads. We were wrong. We don't know if Iran is actually manufacturing this. I understand Netanyahu said what he said on television, but we don't know if they're actually manufacturing it. And now what happens is, yes, we're sanctioning them, but now we have no cooperation. So we have really no way of testing, guiding, determining whether or not they're actually involved.
We're going to go back into this whole silly thing about that we didn't know for a fact that Iraq had nuclear weaponry. That is just nonsense.
Move on.
Let's stay
on point.
My point
is, do we know that this was not working in Iran? Do we actually have concrete proof?
Yeah, we do.
We have concrete proof.
Yeah, we do, because they're a fabricating, lying nation, and there's no way we can trust them. We got nothing out of this deal.
And the argument is that's why we need this deal, because they are liars. We need to have inspectors there.
And
if we get out of the deal,
Richard's paper here with his notes on it.
If we get out of the deal, we can't have inspectors there.
I know, but the fact that you said we know because they're lying, cheating thieves isn't knowledge. You need evidence. If you're going to back out of this deal, and maybe it was the right thing to do, but he should have evidence to show it wasn't working. Not that we're flourishing. And you can use many superlatives and general statements as you want. The bottom line is, do we know that this program did not give us the ability to go into Iran and look?
Yeah, we know that. We know because of the fact that the deal is complete and utter nonsense. It doesn't do any benefit for us to be in it. The fact that we can supposedly get in there, to answer your question, and go and look at things is just gutless in meaningless.
Here's the question. Let's suppose worst case scenario. Let's suppose Iran does start enriching uranium. Or we think they are, and they've kicked out the weapons inspectors. What does the United States do at that point when, A, they don't have anybody there to verify exactly what Iran is doing, and the only way to then tackle their nuclear program is something militarily, which may only set it back by 3 or 4 years?
Wait, hold on. My point is just so simple on this. The inspectors are literally akin to zero. They cannot do anything. They can't stop anything, and the notification requirements make it so that by the time they get in, they're not going to find out anything anyway. We can't trust them. The deal is worthless. And what are we going to do if they start building nuclear bombs? Well, first step is obvious. We hit the highest level of economic sanctions. And then second, nobody wants to go to war. Nobody does, except for complete and utter and total lunatics. But at the end of the day, if they threaten us with nuclear weaponry,
But Jim Mattis, one second, Richard. Jim Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, said the U.S. should stay in the deal. So if it's utter nonsense, if it's gutless, then why did the top military man in the United States say stay in the deal?
And H.R. McMaster and Tillerson, every single person, foreign policy expert who was lying behind Trump when he appointed them, said stay in the deal. They all said it. Now, you could call it ludicrous, you can call it crazy. The bottom line is I'd rather have some inspection than zero. And the hardliners in Iran right now are waving that Iranian flag saying, see, that's America, I told you so.
But isn't there also a possibility, if there's a possibility that the hardliners may gain, isn't it also possible that the people who have been demanding regime change, period, who have had protests for the last several months, that maybe they get energized by this because they see their government has to now pay a price for going into Syria and conducting all these ballistic missile tests?
There is, but the problem is that this is the seesaw U.S. On the one hand, we have one president brings in a policy, the next president changes it, and so it just buttresses it. It actually supports the whole theory that how could you be behind the U.S.? Europe is devastated by this. How could you be behind the U.S.?
So we should follow every policy, foreign and domestic, that Barack Obama put into place. That's why the America elected a new president. America rejected the Iran nuclear deal. It's one of the primary issues that Donald Trump ran on. Most Americans don't want it, and it's inaccurate to say that everybody that was with Trump was in favor of keeping this nuclear deal.
Every single one of his foreign policy advisors was in favor.
That is not true. The decision has been made. The decision has been made. So now what?
Right.
Plan B. I don't know.
So what?
Now it's Plan B. We just sanction the hell out of him.
Plan B is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. It's actually Plan A. It's that we institute all these sanctions against them. We weaken their economy, and while we weaken their economy, they're not going to be able to have the funds to be able to get closer to that nuclear weaponry. And if they do, we have to deal with them like any other country. We can't go into North Korea right now, can we?
Well, it's interesting he mentions North Korea because it's the exact opposite policy. We are staying on track. But Trump now wants to meet with North Korea and actually come up with some kind of a peace accord, which is a wonderful move. But yet on Iran, he's doing the opposite. He's saying, you know what? We don't want to negotiate. We want to just sanction the hell out of them.
This deal is garbage.
The deal.
We needed a better deal.
So
Trump is going to go and make a better deal with North Korea.
So you're going from bad testing.
Can we agree that we may not know whether this is successful or not for perhaps several years?
I don't think we may never know. Because the bottom line is we don't know how it was working. We don't know if they actually were manufacturing plutonium,
Kenneth, do you agree with that? Can we not put a stamp on it right now? We simply don't know what's going to be?
We don't know.
Right. We don't know what's going to happen.
So this might not have been a good move.
No, I think it's a good move because the deal was so bad and gave us nothing. But the reality is we won't know for quite some time what Iran is going to do.
But now we have nothing also. We have no connection to Iran at all.
We may have worse than nothing.
But we shall see.
We have them under our thumb economically.
All right. Good.
Republican strategist Kenneth Del Vecchio and Democrat Richard Roth, also the founder of the Roth Group. Thank you both. We appreciate it. When we come back, some final thoughts on today's events from Shana, myself, and also Michael Schur and Dan Raviv when i24 News continues.